Hey there, everybody. This is Kevin Richards from RockTheStage.NYC.com with another vocal video tip. Today's exercise, or sort of lesson, is on the proper way to warm up the voice. Now, I've got this question a lot on my blog and here on YouTube. People ask me, how long should I, warm up for? What should I do to warm up? Well, those things are kind of esoteric. They vary from person to person. Some people can take just 15 minutes to warm up their voice. Some people take a half hour to 40 minutes. It all depends on how trained you are, how much do you warm up your voice every day, or do you just do it before you sing? It all varies. It also depends on what state your voice is in that day. If you haven't really spoken a lot, it might take a lot for your voice to get warmed up. If you've maybe vocalized a little bit in the morning, it won't take as long to vocalize later on in the day. So these things can kind of vary from person to person. But I'm going to give you some tips on the proper way to sort of warm up the voice. Now, normally during the day when we speak a lot, so our chest voice is sort of warmed up a lot, or it's gotten, you could think, well, my chest voice is very warmed up, because I've been talking all day. Well, I've talked some during the day. Well, yes and no. The voice, we speak in a very limited range of voice, especially men. We speak in a very limited range of notes in what we would term in our singing range, a very small amount. We don't vary our pitch a lot in our speaking voice. Men tend to speak very sort of monotonish. Women are a bit more sing-songy. They go up here and they do a lot of that, and they're very expressive with their voices. So their voices get a bit more of a workout than men do. So with men, we have to be very specific about how we warm up our voice, and this is one way that I do it, and it's I think the best way to do it, and that's always to warm up the voice from the top down. Since our head voices don't really get a workout during the day when we speak, that's the area we should really zone into first. And I do these very simply, and these are what I call on-the-go exercises, which are exercises that you can do sort of anywhere and everywhere. You don't need a piano, you don't need a scale, you don't need an MP3 or a CD to kind of do these. And they're very light, and they're not really heavy on the voice. You're not really going for a lot of range. You're not really going for a lot of power. You're not really going for tone. You're not really going for any sort of sing-songy quality. We're just kind of getting blood flowing and the chords stretched to those approximations. And we do this by these sort of I'll give you two very simple exercises. One is I call the circle. And that's we take the sound of oo at the bottom, e at the top, and go back down to oo at the bottom. And we do this in a circular manner. And it's ooh, ooh. What we're doing here is we're using two very closed vowel sounds, oo and e, and we're taking them from chest voice up into head voice and back down. And it's not really, you don't have to worry about tonal quality, you don't have to worry about power, we're not going for any sort of volume, we're just kind of thinking of that in just a very circular motion. Now each time you do these, try to go a little bit higher, or as high as comfortably possible. Ooh, 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 and back down. Now the E helps us bridge up into the head voice because E is not a very heavy vowel. Ooh, if you try to go woo, you can splat that, you can widen that very easily. So we go to E at the top to help the voice thin out. Woo. That's one, the circular. Now the other one I call it the roller coaster, which is, when you see people go over that very first drop on a roller coaster, what do most people do? Well, we tend to go, throw our hands up in the air and go, woo! As we go down, we could take that sound and use that to go from our head voice down into our chest voice. And each time same thing, you want to do this as comfortably as possible, start on a very comfortable note, and each time try to go a little bit higher. Wee! 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 Now think of this as just sort of launching and coming back down. Wee! 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 These are very light. They're not really heavy on the voice. We're not shouting anything. So you don't have to worry about straining or anything like that. And so these are just, you can work these into your warm-up routine and just always think of the top down. Till next time, this is Kevin Richards from RockTheStageNYC.com. See ya. Everybody, welcome. This is Kevin Richards from RockTheStageNYC.com with your vocal video tip of the week. Now, today's video tip is on cool down, warming down the voice after you've sang. Now, a lot of people, they always talk about warm-ups, but don't really talk a lot about warming down the voice. Warming down the voice is just as important as warming up the voice. Why? Because after all that singing is a very physical activity for the vocal cords. Like I said, the vocal cords are really only as big as your thumbnail. So they get an intense workout when you sing, so they can be a little bit swollen, and they have all that blood pumping through them. So just like as a runner who runs around the track and does a relay race or sprints, he doesn't suddenly just stop running. He'll walk for a while. He'll walk once around the track, or they walk for a bit, walk for about a quarter mile after they finished a marathon, sort of let the muscles sort of slowly and gradually relax themselves. If they just suddenly started to ran across the finish line and stop cold, their muscles could suddenly contract and tighten up, and they get cramps. And this is the same thing that can happen to the voice. Now, the voice, what happens is from over-abuse, if you're not singing well, you're just singing too long, the edges of the vocal cords on the inside can get a little swollen, and they get little bumps on them. And the vocal cords won't come together in a nice, tight seal. They won't get that tight seal. So you've got those little bumps in there that create all those little gaps, and your voice kind of sounds a little scratchy, and it has all that. It doesn't really come together really well. Well, there's two ways you can get the voice back into shape, and you never want to go to bed after a gig. You never want to go to bed with any sort of vocal fry or scratchiness or any sort of swollenness to your voice, because when you wake up in the morning, it's going to be just really bad. So you want to do this immediately as you can after you get off the stage, wherever you start finishing. This is only, if you've sang, I'd say, for more than a half hour. I mean, if you're only getting up and doing 2 songs, you don't need to warm down. This is if you're one of those guys that gigs all night, you do 3 sets, or you sing for an hour. It's good to warm down the voice. And depending on how much you sing or how hard you're singing or what type of music that you're doing, the warm down will either be quick, slow, or a little bit longer. Your voice will kind of tell you when it's time, when you're sort of finished warming down. And if your voice comes off and you're a little scratchy and all that, here's a couple exercises to get them sort of back into shape. One is simply doing E. The sound E helps the vocal cords realign. If you've kind of got a little scratchiness going on in your voice, you have to get off and it sounds a little... E is a great exercise. You just take this very simple E in a very light register right in your speaking voice and just E, and just kind of roll it around on some melodies. Just kind of make up a melody as you go along. E. I used to do Jingle Bells for some reason. I just kind of stood right at, or just kind of slide it up and down like hills on a roller coaster, and just kind of. Don't forget to go down into your bottom range as well. That will help the vocal cords relax and realign. That's a good one. I used to do that one until my voice sort of stopped sounding scratchy. Another really good exercise is I call the bullfrog, which you don't really bulge out here. You bulge out in your cheeks, but it's like this. Now, if you watch my larynx, you'll actually see it drop down. Now, this has a very therapeutic, almost massaging effect to the voice, and it helps them sort of. It helps actually bring the swelling down. Don't quote me on that, ENTs, but in my experience, it has always if I come off and I'm a little hoarse or it feels a little swollen in there, from screaming too much or whatever I was doing, which can happen. Yeah. I just walk around doing that. I look really stupid and silly, and people are wondering what the hell's wrong with me. But you can do that, and you can do the E's with a very slight open mouth. People don't even know you're doing them. This is great to do if you got to help the rest of the band sort of break down the gear and cart everything off the stage and pack up the guitars and the PA and all of that. You can. I mean, the standard one, people would say, you can do lip rolls or hums. A lot of what you do in sort of a warm-up, you'd want to do in a warm-down. But I find those kind of be a little embarrassing to sort of walk around going after a show. Especially if you're trying to unload equipment and try to pack up gear and stuff. It doesn't really work. Doing the E's, E, and for me, work really well. Try to work those into your routine. Anytime you sort of, even if you're just vocalizing for a half hour, 40 minutes, or an hour each day, like you should be, when your voice feels a little tired or a little tight or a little swollen, the bullfrog is a great exercise. Till next time, this is Kevin Richards of Rock the Stage, NYC.com. See ya.